In the previous lesson, you saw how easily you can set up a site to allow registration and membership. But you might be wondering how you can manage your members and change security settings. You can do this very easily using the Asp.NET Configuration Utility. To begin this lesson, open the My Membership sample file from your Sample Files folder. And you're going to open the Asp.NET Configuration Utility. First, open default.aspx in Source View if it isn't open already. You need to have a page open in order for the Project menu to display the Asp.NET Configuration option. To open the utility, click Project, Asp.NET Configuration. The Asp.NET Configuration Utility starts in a new browser window. If an error occurs when you try to open the Asp.NET Configuration Utility, it is probably due to the folder that you have placed the sample file in. The Asp.NET Configuration Utility may not work properly if the sample file is inside a folder that contains commas or other special characters. If you have problems running the Asp.NET Configuration Utility, make sure that your sample file is in the recommended folder. That's C Practice Asp.NET 4.5. Now click the Security tab at the top of the page. And you can see a list of existing users by clicking Manage Users. As you can see, you could also create a user here by using the Create User option. But you could just as easily use the register.aspx page on your site. When you click Manage Users, a list of existing users is displayed. At the moment, there is only one user, which you created in Lesson 9.1. As you can see, you could easily edit or delete the user from here. You will learn about roles in Lesson 9.9. Next, you're going to configure some email settings to enable your application to send emails. You can do this easily through the Asp.NET Configuration Utility. First, click the Application tab at the top of the screen, and you can see a number of different settings. The settings on this page come from your web.config file. You learned about web.config settings in Lesson 3.13. Most of the options on this page are quite self-explanatory. Application settings are your own custom application properties. You won't use them in this course, but they are covered in the Expert Skills course in this series. If you click the Take Application Offline option, your site will be taken offline. When the site is offline, none of the pages or files in the site will be accessible. The Debugging and Tracing options allow you to define a default error page and to configure debugging and tracing. Defining a default error page simply allows you to specify a page that will appear whenever an error occurs. Debugging and tracing are covered in the Expert Skills course in this series. To configure email settings, click Configure SMTP Email Settings. Now you'll need to complete the form with valid email settings. Valid email settings aren't essential for any of the lessons in this course, so you can skip this step if you don't have access to a mail server. If you'd like to set up email anyway, you can use Google's free email service by signing up for a Gmail account at gmail.com. If you are using Gmail, the following settings were correct in October 2013. But as with all things on the Internet, they may change. Server name smtp.gmail.com, server port 587, from your Gmail address, then basic authentication, sender's username, your Gmail address, and sender's password, your Gmail password. Then click Save and click OK. Email settings are important if you want to use security features that send emails to the user, such as when the user forgets their password. The only part of the Asp.NET Configuration Utility that you haven't looked at is the Provider tab. As you'll see later in this session, Asp.NET has many controls that can be dropped onto the page to automatically interface with the membership database. The Provider is a class that provides all of the services that these controls need to function. If you had very specialized membership requirements, you could write your own Provider class, but this isn't usually necessary. The Provider tab allows you to specify an alternate custom provider in these rare cases. Close your web browser now and open web.config. The Asp.NET Configuration Utility is unfortunately limited in some areas. There are a number of important settings that can only be changed by editing the web.config file. If you find the default membership provider tag in the web.config file, you can see that it has settings such as min required password length, and such as min required password length and max invalid such as min required password length and max invalid password attempts. The only way to change these settings is to change them manually in web.config. Close Visual Studio now, and you've now completed Lesson 9.2, Manage a Site with Asp.NET Configuration.